Okay, welcome back, viewer. I'm Sean. This is Sean Turns Up the Volume. And what I'm coming with today is this article: ICE arrests in Minnesota surge, include numerous convicted child rapists and killers. So the left has been framing the illegal aliens that ICE has been going after as neighbors. I saw a video clip of a woman who's got a baby strapped to herself as she's at one of these protests, where dangerous things obviously can happen, and so she's bringing her child there. That's frankly crazy and dangerous.
Gonna let someone else intimidate me to live in a city that doesn't represent what I want it to represent.
Yeah, but why'd you bring the baby?
I want to be able to bring her in a place where people are saying we love our neighbors.
But the left has framed this as that they're all victims. And they essentially view them as like the proletariat class, that they're the victims, they're the oppressed, and so they're trying to join all the oppressed together, and so they're out there. You don't see, you don't actually, I think in the pictures and the videos, you don't actually see the Somalis out there protesting typically. It's often a lot of white people, which is ironic. So let's look at some of the people here. It says these are the type of people that Democrat politicians and activists are referring to as their neighbors. Yeah, the woman in the clip that I saw was saying that she's choosing to love her neighbor. It's like, I'll come back around to that. Let's see the type of neighbors that these activists, these protesters want to interfere with ICE agents doing their work. They want to interfere with arrests going on. They want to interfere with the justice system taking place, or an immigration law, in this case, sending these people back to their countries, if not prosecuting them here. So who do we got here? Okay, we've got, I don't know how to say this. Sriadorn Faven, a Laotian illegal immigrant, was convicted of strong-arm sodomy of a boy and of a girl. What else is here? Aggravated sex offense, 9 counts of larceny, unauthorized use of a vehicle, 4 counts of fraud, vehicle theft, 2 counts of drug possession, obstructing justice, stolen property, receiving stolen property, burglary, check forgery. Pending 2 charges: receiving stolen property, flight to avoid prosecution, confinement, and burglary. So there's a whole bunch of charges there for whatever crimes he was doing. But of course, the most egregious of these are the sexual assault crimes. It sounds like it must have been against two separate minors from the description here, if you can see this. And so this is just one example. That's the kind of person that these people are out there wanting to protect, that they're wanting to prevent from being arrested, deported, held accountable to the law. This is when if they're saying love their neighbor, which is being twisted to don't hold people accountable, don't allow people to be arrested and held, deported, like for justice to be held against them. This is what they're talking about. So let's see. This is Tao Vang, Laotian illegal immigrant, convicted of sexual assault, sodomy of a girl under the age of 13, and procuring a child for prostitution. I mean, these are horrific. These are horrific crimes, and you got enough of this disgusting, vicious crime that goes on from your own citizens, that's going to go on in any country, but to import it to the Democrats, the left, these protesters are protesting on behalf of keeping these people here, of minimizing and hand waving away their crimes. What is it other than siding with criminals? I mean, it's just siding with criminals. It's just siding with criminal foreign nationals against our own country. Like, how does love your neighbor not begin with like, well, who is my neighbor? Well, my fellow citizens are my neighbor. Well, the victims of these criminals are my neighbor. The people who don't get the work because of the illegal who shouldn't be here is my neighbor. The person who is having their tax money stolen, and the person who doesn't get that money because it's been fraudulently stolen by someone who shouldn't be here, those people are your neighbor. The people who will eventually be victims of crimes from people who shouldn't be here, those people are your neighbors. And if the illegal aliens that the left wants to defend so much are such wonderful salt of the earth people, and I'm sure that they're, like, this article is for the worst of the worst, right? This doesn't describe everyone. There's plenty here who maybe their primary crime is that they're breaking the immigration law, right? This could be a small percentage. They're all breaking the law, but most of them probably are not breaking additional laws. They're going to be breaking maybe other laws as far as maybe Social Security fraud, as far as how are they working, how are they being paid, maybe tax fraud as far as not paying taxes that they should be, different things like that. Maybe false documentations. Probably if they're living and surviving here and they're illegal aliens, they probably are committing other crimes. But as far as like overt stealing, fraud, robbery, violent crimes, I imagine that probably would be a smaller percentage, right? But at the same time, it's all crime that shouldn't be here. We have enough crime. We don't need to import more crime. We don't need to keep more crime here, and it's creating this division to, like, the left open the floodgates to bring them here, to allow them to be here, to not enforce things, to intentionally, under the Biden admin, to ignore these laws, and then it creates this very thing where now we've got this poisonous issue in the nation, where it's like, well, now what do you do in response to this? Do you go, the laws don't matter, so we don't enforce them, and that encourages even more of it to happen? Or do you enforce the law, and then the left chooses to go, well, we're gonna side against law and order, and we're gonna choose crime instead? And they go, well, the right frames them all as evil criminals, and they go, well, we've got a nice, you know a nice neighbor who's an illegal. You work with somebody, a student or something, and it's like, well, this person doesn't deserve to be lumped in with that, or that person was a child and their parents were illegals, and that's not fair to them. Then there's the whole calling them just undocumented. Like, the issue is not a lack of documentation. It's so, the lying around it. I mean, the misuse of terminology around it. Like, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Okay, let's see another one of these people. Chong Vu. I don't know how to say that. A Laotian illegal immigrant convicted of strong-arm rape, kidnapping, with intent to sexually assault. Deportation order since 2004. Been here a long time. Who knows how many more crimes these people may have committed. Guy Yang, Laotian immigrant, convicted of strong-arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, strangulation. Deportation order since 2012. Pao Chow Chang. Am I saying that? I'm probably not saying that right. Laotian legal immigrant. A lot of these people seem to be from Laos. In this article, convicted of rape and child fondling. Like, gee whiz. Like, and when you interfere with the ICE operations, you interfere with you're interfering and defending these criminals. Like the Democrats are supposed to be frame themselves as the party of victims. They love to frame themselves as victims and protectors of victims. But when it comes to just victims of crime, like victims of crime are not, they view ICE going after criminals, that ICE that ICE are the criminals, and that the criminals are the victims. And then the victims just, well, whatever. Cowlor, convicted of rape with a weapon, sexual assault. I wonder why so many of these are from, like, that. What was that? That was at least 3 or 4 from Laos. I don't know. That's curious that just several of these were from the same country. Hernan Cortez Valencia, Mexico, ordered to leave the country 2016, sexual assault against a child, sexual assault, carnal abuse, 4 DUIs. Abdi Rashid Adosh Elmi, Somalian illegal immigrant, convicted of homicide. Alberto Salguera Landaverde, from El Salvador, convicted of 3 counts of homicide. Gabriel Figueroa Gama, Mexican immigrant, convicted of homicide. This one's Sudan, homicide and assault. Laos, 2 counts of homicide. This one's 2 counts of homicide, 4 DUIs, 3 counts of larceny, burglary. The list goes on. Manslaughter, homicide and assault. The list just goes on. Like, where is the outrage? There's outrage when the ICE officer shoots in response to a vehicle coming at him. There's outrage when law enforcement does something. There's not outrage from the left when white women are murdered by, like, repeat career criminal, like, African American guys. There's been a couple situations of that just in the recent times, and the automatic response is to go, it's like, it's racist to talk about, and look at their mental health problems, and they're victims of society. It's just like, hand wave it away. Why are you making a big deal about this? You're just racist if you're making a big deal about this. Just hand wave it away. The victims don't matter. What's happening doesn't matter. And then there are traumatized, harmed children out there that will never be the same. There are people who are dead, American citizens who are dead, and those mourning them because of, just looking at this list of people, because of people on this list here. Our society is put in danger from people who are criminals, who should be held to account, whether that's being put in prison here or sent back to their own countries to be held to account there, and they shouldn't be here. They got their own country. Just, if I were to go to another country and commit a crime, I wouldn't, because that's, like, stupid and bad. I would expect to be held accountable to that. I would expect to be caught. I would expect to either be in prison there or sent back to my own country. That's just common sense. Like, the left is choosing the most unsympathetic group. They're just choosing evil to side with, and like framing it as love. And it's like, well, there's people who aren't part of that group. Obviously, they're not all criminals to that level. Sure, they're not all criminals to that level, but some of them are, and you're framing ICE as being the evil oppressors by going after them, and they are all guilty of committing just the crime of violating our immigration laws, of violating things that they are held to account to. I mean, we're all culpable to, or we're all accountable to all kinds of regulations. You got to have a driver's license and insurance to like legally drive a car. There's things we have to do to get licensed. There's things I have to do for my license, for my professional license. There's things you got to do for taxes. There's like tens of thousands of pages of federal code. The states have tons of laws. There's local ordinances. Like we are bound by a million different laws. And the socialists would love a socialist bureaucratic state where there's even more laws and regulation and control. And then just arbitrarily, if it's someone that's in the what they've determined to be the victim class, criminals are victims according to the left, illegal aliens are victims according to the left. Of course, any version of like minority, intersectionality, whatever, special identity, so long as that person's, so long as they're liberal, they're part of the victim class, right? Because they don't feel the same about conservatives. If it's conservative minorities, right? You got only sympathy if you're in the liberal minority. There's not sympathy if you're conservative minority, and then it's just like hand wave away. There's no responsibility there. So anyway, I thought I'd go through this. It's just crazy. I don't understand the choose to sympathize with like the wrong group like every time, and it's mind-boggling. So that's what I had to say about this. Thank you.